Well, welcome everybody. We are here again on our week 2 of our 4-week course for our 8 brocades. So it will be a gentle introduction and a recap of what we did last week, and then we're going to introduce another 3 forms. So we'll be up to 6 by the end of this session today. And then as we move forwards and progress, we can look at doing the whole of the forms week 3, and then it will be just a flowing practice on week 4, so we can really then start to embody the forms and become less sort of like logical in our approach and less sort of like thinking about it, more just allowing it to be. So I invite you to come to standing or seated on a chair, absolutely fine too if you prefer that, or if that's more accessible for you, and bring the feet together. So from this position of being upright and rooted and grounded and aligned between the earth and the sky, I invite you to very softly lift your left foot and step out roughly around shoulders width apart and place the left foot down onto your mat. Let's let out a big sigh and begin to just become more aware of the soles of the feet. So we invite this sort of awareness to shift and drop and sink. There's a concept in Qigong known as Qin, and it's this process of sinking down. So sinking your awareness into your feet as you become aware of initially maybe the weight distribution, just checking in that we're neither leaning too far forwards or too far back. And then bending the knees a little, sinking the tailbone, and then lifting through the spine up into the crown of the head. So you feel this lift up towards the sky, whilst maintaining this sinking and pushing and drawing down through your roots, through the soles of your feet. Allow your arms to float out by your sides, as if they are sort of immersed in a warm, viscous liquid. So there is a buoyancy and a lightness to them rather than feeling heavy or sort of weighted. Allow the palms to soften, the fingertips to feel light, space between each finger. Bringing the tongue to rest on the roof of your mouth and bringing your chin in slightly without sort of tilting the head too far forwards. So we become aware of this standing initial form known as Wuji stance, translating as emptiness or void, allowing us to just let go of any tensions, any sort of feeling of grasping or holding on, letting stuff just melt away. So we invite in this concept that we introduced last week of song, a concept of Qigong, one of the 5 keys of like pillars of Qigong, to be relaxed, awake, alert, but at ease. So inviting your body to soften, but not collapse. Feel strong and upright, yet rooted. If it feels appropriate and comfortable for you, I invite you to softly close your eyes. So we just come to stand and connect to the breath. So as we stand or we sit aligned between earth and sky, let's just come to be aware of inviting the breath in, if it's comfortable, through the nostrils. Maybe for the first few breaths, continuing this exhalation out through the mouth. And then settling into your own natural breathing rhythm and pace, inviting the ribs to drop, the belly to round, thus creating more space within the body to expand as we breathe in, to soften and release as we breathe out. Right breathing plays such a key role and part in our Qigong practice as everything starts to connect and become sort of more whole. So we don't separate any part of ourselves. So the mind, the body, the breath all start to synchronize and re-establish that single connection. Let's start to integrate some movement with the breath to help just draw the breath in and down a little deeper. Interlacing the fingers, turning the palms to face down, bringing the hands just below the ribs. On your next breath in, begin to push the hands down. As you breathe out, encouraging the breath to leave the lungs, mirroring this diaphragm that domes up. Breathing in. And following your own rhythm and pace, not needing to sort of mirror mine, just finding your own path. Breathing in to accentuate that deepening and softening and lengthening of the breath. Breathing out, releasing, letting go. Breathing in. And breathing out. Just maybe 2 or 3 more of those in your own time. And then releasing the hands down. And then starting to breathe in as we then open up the arms, the shoulders. Drawing the hands above our heads or as far as we feel comfortable. Working in a way that doesn't push towards any discomfort in any of our joints. Breathing out, bringing the hands down. Breathing in. And breathing out. And one more time. Slow and steady, grounded, upright. Gentle yet powerful and strong. Just come back to let your arms rest by your sides, just dropping back into that stance that we began our practice with, and just notice yourself. Soft, relaxed. And then when you're ready, let the hands come down. We'll start with our joint release exercises today. So starting on the right foot, lifting the left heel, rolling and warming up the ankles. Excuse me. It has gone quite cold and damp again, so making sure we're keeping the joints nice and warm and open as much as possible. Rolling both ways. If you wish, we can bring in a little bit more challenge with balance today. If you want to just place your hands on a chair or the wall or something that's stable to help, you can. But you can also just lift one foot and roll. Be aware of soft rolls, gentle, not needing to rush. The opposite leg that weight bears is rooted and grounded, just like before. And then place that foot down and transfer the weight to the left. Roll your right ankle. Both ways. And then again, if you wish, just a gentle challenge for a little balance. Rolling both ways, weight bearing down that left side. And then plant the right foot down. Let's step the feet together. I'm going to make this shape called tiger's mouth with this L shape between the thumb and the index fingers around the inside of the knees, thumbs around the inside of the kneecap, fingertips around the outside. Roll and just get right into the knees, again, according to whatever mobility you have, adjusting accordingly, not working towards anything that feels discomfort or painful. Roll both ways. Notice if your knees are quite vocal today, mine are. And then back up. Roll up. Step the feet wide again, so left foot comes back out, around shoulders width apart. Place the foot down. Place the hands now, thumbs just above the hips, fingertips around the back of the body, and circle your hips, getting into the hip sockets themselves. Few rotations, keeping the weight down low, keeping the knees nice and soft. If the knees are locked, it tends to be quite rigid and fixed, and it will prevent that sort of oiling of the joints that we're aiming for. Back the other way a couple more times. And then lifting, keeping the knees soft as we let our arms hang down by our sides, and we begin to move from center and let the arms swing. So rather than letting the arms become quite, so again, rigid and wooden, they become soft and light in their movement, as if they're like ribbons dangling from a branch being blown in the wind. And be aware that the lower body is quite stable. So my knees don't move. As you continue to twist, be aware the knees are softly bent, the thighs are strong, and the movement comes from above the waist. So your lower body feels really strong, like a tree trunk, the soles of the feet like the roots, and your arms are like the branches moving lightly in a breeze, swinging without resistance. Tapping the back of the body helps to stimulate the chi flow around mid-back and to keep the kidneys plump, happy and healthy as they work to their optimum in the winter months. Keeping that water element circulating and not freezing or stagnating. Okay, and then slapping and tapping the side body just to get the yang energy flowing in anticipation for springtime just around the corner. And then slow that action down. And then come to just stand and begin to just open up your shoulders a little more. Roll the shoulders back in really sort of exaggerated and accentuated circles that slow right down. Avoiding anything that feels too clicky or painful again. Listening to your own body. Keep dialing back in. Rolling the other way. And then bringing the hands together this week. It's quite easy for the palms, the fingers, the wrists to get cold. So roll your wrists and then go back the other way. Then bring the hands down by your sides. And we're just going to have a good shake. So again, just creating that opportunity to get things shifting and moving. Moving anything that feels heavy or stagnated, or shifting through anything that feels excessive and too much. Turn to your left, a little twist in the spine. Back over to your right side. And then back to center. A little bit more of a shake. Big breath in through the nose. And a sigh out through the mouth. And then just come to stand again. Little time for integration is really important. Allow the chi to settle, to flow to where it's needed, to release from where it's been pulled, to replenish wherever it's been sort of depleted, and allow it to flow. We're going to now just move the arms. So swing the arms to create some movement in the shoulders. There's a little twist in the spine as well. Again, be aware of being quite soft and light rather than sort of too rigid and fixed. Elbows soft, shoulders light, sinking down, fingertips soft. And then if we're able, a little bit more of a challenge today, we're going to bring one hand in front and one hand behind, like so, and swing the arms out. So it's a little bit more brain gym work. We're stimulating both sides of the brain, getting both hemispheres to connect. And it takes a bit of practice. So if your arms feel like they're flailing all over the place and this feels quite a challenge, don't worry, just try, move, breathe, and just see what happens and what unfolds. Sometimes it just takes a few minutes to let that information integrate between mind and body. Arms rise and then they cross, front and back. Beautiful. Okay. So letting those arms now just gently rest back down by your sides. Take a few deep breaths in through the nose. Sigh out through the mouth. And we're just going to work a little bit more to open up the spine before we move into our practice. So I'm going to turn to the side so you're just going to be able to see me a little bit more clearly. We're going to lift through the crown and extend as we breathe in. And soften the knees, tailbone drawing down. Breathe out and gentle leaning back to open the front of the body. Breathe in to lift back up. Breathe out, the arms just drop down. Turn the palms to face inwards. Fingertips draw down to the earth. Knees are soft. Tailbone under. Lower back nice and safe. So breathe in to lift. Breathe out to lean back. Breathe in. And breathe out. As you practice, be really careful not to strain the lower back, keeping the knees soft. Being sure not to let the head hang too far back. And to not bend down too far. It doesn't matter if it's just a slight bend or if your hands are flat on the floor. It's just this active and intentional movement of mobilizing the spine, the front and the back body in a way that is suitable and accessible for you today. We're working with the front and the back lines of the body, which are associated with yin and yang. Yin, front body, yang, back body. So bringing them together in harmonious flow. Both of equal importance, one contained in the seed of the other. Both a necessary part of the whole. Breathing in one last time. And then just coming back to stand and just notice again. A couple of breaths, just as you are. Invitation to close eyes if you wish. One last little movement, just a little gentle self-massage. So just breathing down the front line of the body, just to connect to yourself before we move into our forms for today. Just to clarify, we're working with pathways, or sometimes known as channels or meridians, that are believed to carry chi or energy around the body to sustain it. Like an information superhighway of chi, of energy flowing to sustain us. But just stroking down this channel, it's known as the Ren Mai channel, which is associated with the earth element, grounding, boundaried, safe, just connecting to our own center, our own sense of being. Bring the hands down. Let's do one more form, just to clear stagnation, and we'll move into our practice. So floating the arms out very lightly, just to the height of the shoulder if that capacity is there. As we fold forwards, we bend the knees and bring the hands down towards the floor, not needing to connect to the ground, just folding as far as is comfortable and appropriate. Draw the hands up through the center line of the body and create this connection between earth and sky in the form of this triangle. Breathe out, bring the hands down softly to the earth. Starting to just move a little more with the breath and movement coordinating, breathing in, breathing out. Lifting. Slowly bringing the arms down. Beautiful. So bring the left hand onto the belly, right hand on top of the left. Let's just take a couple of deep breaths in through the nose. And again, sigh out through the mouth. Focusing on this long, slow, deep, even and refined quality of breathing in and out. And we'll begin our practice. So we'll recap the first 3 that we looked at last week, and then we'll introduce another 3. So we're going to begin with our 2 hands support the heavens. So feet are around, hips width apart, toes pointing forwards. Very soft bend in the knee, this quality of Shen, this sinking, this concept of song, to be relaxed and awake and alert. Soft, gather, raise the hands to support the heavens. We lift, we interlace the fingers and stretch. To the palms face up towards the ceiling, we lengthen the body, tailbone draws down, crown lifts, and then softly bring the arms down to the earth. Draw up as we breathe in and rise and stretch the body. Breathe out. Gently bring the arms down towards the earth. Extra little balance challenge if you want to. You can bring the arms up and lift a little onto the balls of the feet to strengthen the ankles and the lower legs. But be aware of not uprooting. Still feel that connection of root through the balls of the feet and the pads of the big toes to help support you in that rise from root. 2 hands support the heavens, believed to be nourishing for the triple burner, which we talked about a little last week, considered to be like the inner thermostatic control system of the body, located in 3 different centers, responsible for homeostasis, keeping everything warm, balanced, harmonious. Breathing in and lift. Breathing out and gently coming down. So we're going to transition now into our second form. Invitation to step a little wider. Bring the hands to center. Turn the left palm down towards the floor, towards the earth. Turn the right palm forwards and up towards the heavens as we push both directions and sink and bend the knees. Softly rise through the crown. Bring the left arm up, the right arm comes down. Left palm turns down, right palm turns up as we gather and come back to center. Our physical center being just below the navel. Right palm down, left palm rises, push down, rise up, bend the knees, sink the tailbone, crown lifts. Coming back to center as we rise and we bring the palms back. Push, sometimes called connecting heaven and earth, or splitting heaven and earth. This form calls it raising the hands to condition the stomach and the spleen. So working with the energy of digestion, of center, and the earth element. Taking our time, slow and steady. Just noticing that we're moving back to center and moving from center. Sometimes the hands can creep up a little. Bring the hands back to center. Left hand down, right hand rises. Opening up the wrists. And then one more time, right hand down, left hand rises. Feeling that tangible connection between earth and sky. Bring the hands back. One more time to center. As the left hand rises, the right hand comes down. Holding that center. Then bringing the hands across the chest, making very soft fists as we begin to open the bow to let the golden arrow fly. So our third form, the wood element. Open your bow. Draw your left hand back, holding this imaginary string. And then begin to expand and open the right hand, creating an L shape between finger and thumb to allow this imaginary golden arrow to rest as you take aim, sinking the tailbone, relaxing the shoulders, then coming back to center as you rise through the crown, soften the knees, hands cross. Draw that right hand back as you open the bow. Stretch the left hand, open the left arm up. Bring the hands back and imagine yourself as the archer striking with your arrow of wisdom, sending that arrow of wisdom out into the world. Bring the hands back. Taking aim with clear vision. Working with the element of wood for springtime, hopefully just around the corner. The signs are there. Sinking the tailbone. Drawing the hands back. It is a little stronger, so if you need to take a little rest or just be very mindful not to sort of be too strong in the legs, because there is that quality of upward rising yang energy with this, because that's the quality of springtime. It's a very creative force. Strong in the legs, opening the chest, stretching the shoulders. Open to your right side one more time. And then to your left. Bring the hands back and cross, and then turn the toes in a little. Just walk the feet roughly back underneath the shoulders. Bring the hands down, and we're going to begin our fourth form. So this is called Wise Owl Turns Its Head, for health and wellness, or to eliminate disease. So palms face in towards the fronts of your hips and thighs. Again, my spine is long, my tailbone sinks, my crown lifts, my chin is drawing in. And with the quality of an owl turning its head wisely, we're going to turn the palms out and the whole arm opens. So the movement is from the root of the shoulder as we turn the palms forwards and the head turns to the left. As we turn back, the palms turn in and the whole of your arms then internally rotate and the head comes back to center. So breathe in, turn to your right. Breathe out, turn back to center. And if you were a visual person, just imagine if you were an owl stood on a branch in a tree, just perusing the landscape. That quality of turning your head very mindfully, very slowly, opening the neck. This is believed to draw qi in towards the head, to get qi flowing right up into the head. It's just opening the shoulders very gently. This is also a wood element practice, so this is opening, slow and steady. Coming back to center. As you continue, just be aware to not overstretch. So we don't want to overextend the chest. Watch as you continue to practice, you're not compressing the shoulder blades and pushing yourself into extension, which will create tension in the lower back. It's a very soft movement. Spine remains upright. The movement is from center, rippling out. Open and then close the shoulders. So we can work a little bit by directing our intention to really appreciate the quality of the movement by initially just starting to feel yourself move from your palms. So just take your awareness into the palms and open from the palms. Notice that feeling of moving. And then there's an invitation to now take your awareness to move from the root of the shoulder. Opening. And closing. Notice if you're just more connected and it feels more of a whole experience rather than sort of disembodied, just moving from the hand. And then the final invitation is to move from your center. So imagine this movement is rippling out in all directions. So it becomes rounded and whole. Movement out from center, move back to center. Notice if there's a shift in how it feels to practice. What externally looks like a really simple movement. Breath soft, long, slow, deep, even and refined. So one more to your right. And then we're going to move to our next new form. So we're going to step a little wider again. This is called wag the tail to calm the heart fire. It can create warmth and you can often feel that rising from the chest into your face. So take this nice and steady. It's a fantastic practice to do seated if it starts to feel a little bit sort of challenging or intense. So there are a few more little things and nuances that we need to be aware of. The hands are going to come down to the insides of the thighs. I'm going to do it this way first and I'm going to turn around. And we are going to Imagine this is obviously, we're nodding the head and wagging the tail to release the heart fire. This is obviously a fire practice. So as we bend forwards, we're going to move our upper bodies to the right, but stabilize the knees and the thighs. They are not going to really move. The turn is in the upper body from above the waist. So my left shoulder turns towards the right thigh. As I bend from the waist, I move the body down towards the right thigh, but I keep the spine long. I'm not collapsing. The spine is active. And then I move, work my tail, nod my head, and go over to the left. And then rise and come back up. Knees stay bent. Then I turn the body towards the left thigh and sweep across and over to the right knee and rise. Fold over to the right knee, sweep to the left. As the body comes over the left thigh, I rise, and then I fold and sweep and lift. It is strong, so if you want to take a minute just to have a shake out, take some nice deep breaths in and breathe out, because it can feel quite an intense, more powerful, more yang practice. And I just want to then show you from the side view. Sometimes what can happen is we can either tailbone tucks under too much and we collapse and the spine becomes arced and arched. Spine is long, but when we lift and extend through the spine, then watch that we don't lift the bum and tilt the pelvis forwards, because then we're going to create compression in the lower back. So be aware of a very soft tucking under of the tailbone, then a lengthening of the spine. The chest is nice and open, the chin in. I'm going to turn towards my right thigh, fold and scan. It's like I'm scanning the floor in an arc or an arch with my eye line. So I look directly forwards rather than down, so I don't compromise the neck. And then lift. So just another couple of those. Fold, scan the floor, rise, back to center, turn, fold, and scan and scoop, and then rise. And then one more time, over to your left, and lift, and then over to your right, and lift. Just one thing that I find really helpful with that practice is to have my palms just lightly pushing to the inside of the thighs, and that helps me to stabilize my knees. So when I go over, I'm not folding and that left knee, the opposite knee doesn't collapse inwards. So it is strong. It is lifting and creating this opportunity to release intensity from the heart, overwhelm, burnout, anything that you can think of associated with fire is coming up and we're letting it go. So it can feel a little intense. So it's beautiful, because what we're now going to do is come to the final practice for today, our sixth practice, which is a water element practice, which you will notice has got a completely different quality to it and a different feel. So let's just take a minute to bring the hands to lower dantian. Left hand on the belly, right hand on top of the left. After that slightly more intense practice, just let the breath settle. Invitation to close your eyes. If you feel the need to sigh out through the mouth, that's absolutely perfect, because you're listening to your body, you're tuning in. And then we'll come to our final practice for today, which is 2 hands climb the legs to strengthen the kidneys. So we're going to bring the hands into the mid-back. Knees again, nice and soft. Please fold down as far as you're comfortable. We're going to track down the backs of the legs, so over the glutes, down the backs of the thighs, knees, as far as you are comfortable to fold. And then bring the hands around to the insides of the legs, wherever you've reached comfortably, and draw up underneath the ribs. We're tracking the kidney meridians associated with the water element, and then we lift up towards the heavens. And we gather wisdom, and we draw that wisdom down to nourish ourselves. And there's that real soothing, calming quality of water within the flow, within the form. So the hands down, the backs of the thighs, bending slowly, keeping the knees bent or soft. Breathing in. Lifting the arms, allowing them just to float up. And gather highest wisdom. Arms connect to the bladder channels, the supporting partner of the kidney meridians that run up the insides of the leg. Track, rise, draw up, gather wisdom, draw it down so that you might be nourished by it. Tracking the bladder channels, drawing the hands up, inner channels. So let that water temper and soothe the fire element within. Again, always with our practice, working with the intention of restoring balance, harmony, and tranquility. Cultivating the quality of water, soft and humble, yet infinitely powerful and strong. And then one last time, let's gather wisdom, draw wisdom down, fill ourselves up with this wisdom. arms connect to the kidney. Breeze, stroke, soothe over the bladder channels. Bring the hands back up. One last time, floating the arms. And then just bring the hands down. Left hand rest on the lower belly, the lower dantian, right hand on top. And just come back to your breath. Eyes can now be softly closed once more if you wish. And just notice the quality of that form within you, how it manifests, how you feel. Just allow the settling of your chi after we've practiced our 6 of the 8 brocades together today. So we'll just move towards our closing form, which is this intention to gather peaceful chi. So breathe in as you lift your arms, drawing them up above the head, nice and slow and steady. No rush, no sense of haste. And then pour this peaceful chi in that you have just intentionally gathered through the crown. Middle fingers point towards one another, palms just softly pointing down towards the earth. Bring the hands to belly. We're gently now going to bow to close the session together, to honour the practices that we've shared and all the lineages and traditions that have carried forth this wisdom. So if we make a very soft fist with the left hand, bringing the left thumb in towards the palm, wrapping the fingers around the left hand, bringing the right hand flat to meet the left. So soft yin meets hard yang. Then return to balance and harmonize and refine with one another. We fold at the hips as we bow down to ourselves, and we bow to each other for the practices that we have shared today in this space. And then we bow to our teachers, past and present, yet to appear. And finally, we bow to our family lines, to our ancestors, all the way back to that source that is one. Thank you so much, everyone. It's been beautiful to join you again today, and I really look forward to being with you again next time for week 3 of our 8 brocades practice. Thank you very much. Hope you have a lovely day.